All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the studio for Yin Restore. I'm trying something new. I am actually trying to record during the 9 a.m. class to play it back for you at 10:30. So hopefully this works out and we can start doing a little bit more recording and practicing at the same time. So I have my classmate here with me. She is hanging out and she's already in posture. And I'm going to have you set up for the posture as well. We're going to start with a reclined Baddha Konasana. So if you look behind me, you can see I have it set up with the bolster and the block. I'm going to have you do the same and I'm going to meet you there. All right. So as you're lying back, we're taking a moment to just relax to begin with. We run around, we move around, and we're crazy throughout the day, throughout the week, and so let's just start this class in a relaxed manner. So we've got ourselves supported by our bolster, we've got the block underneath to give us a little bit of a lift in the head. If you choose to, you can support the thighs by taking either a blanket to either thigh and tucking it underneath, or taking your block, if you did not use your blocks underneath your bolster, and you can support there as well. Or you can just let the legs hang freely and allow them to open naturally in that manner. So you have that option. But as you lie back, I want you to think about rolling your shoulders back, broadening across the collarbone, letting the hands rest out by the sides, palm up, and allow yourself just to slowly settle back into the bolster, settle back into the mat, and let everything go. When we come into our class on Sunday morning, we come with the goal of relaxing and releasing and being able to transcend energetically. So as we start this class today, I want to start in a relaxed manner and move forward from there. Letting your shoulders sink down away from the ears, letting the upper arms roll back by the sides of the bolsters. The backs of the hands are heavy. Just feel the chest opening, broadening. Feel space between the sternum and the ribs. Feel the space along the side body. Feeling the space between the collarbones and across the top of the shoulder. And allow yourself to breathe into that space. Letting your breath expand and become bigger, more bold. Take a moment and touch the tip of each finger to the tip of the thumb, working from the index finger to the middle finger, the ring, the pinky, and continue in that pattern for the next few moments, just touching each finger in turn. Take one more round of touching the tips of the fingers. And then open the hands nice and wide. Reach the fingers and the thumb out away from the palm. And then relax the hands. Just notice how that changes the energy coming through the arms and up into the chest. Notice if you had any thought patterns that happened during that time where you were touching the tips of the fingers, or any emotional patterns that came up. And just allow yourself to acknowledge and be aware. As you're lying back, just take a moment to contemplate your intention for the practice today. Is there something in particular you're hoping to achieve during our time, or are you just looking for general overall peace, relaxation? As you're considering this, notice what happens with the body. Does any tension pop up, or are you able to stay relaxed? Does your mind start scampering and running off? Or are you able to just focus on your intention and let everything else go? Once you set that intention, do you feel a sense of focus? Do you feel like you're scattered from that intention? Do you feel like there are obstacles in the way? Continue to carry that intention in your mind's eye and allow it to become part of the breath. So remember, we aren't always going to laser focus in on something. Sometimes there are distractions, sometimes there are sensations, sometimes there are thoughts that crop up. And the task is not to just push those things away, but to acknowledge them, understand why they might be appearing, and then allow yourself to move past them, letting them go. I know intention can sometimes be confusing. People are like, oh, I have to focus on this and just be solely on this the whole entire time. But indeed, it's not going to be that way. There are going to be moments where distractions come in, thoughts come in, sensations in the body, emotions. It's just what you do with those, how you move through them. Do you transcend them, or do you get lost in them? Taking 3 more deep breaths in this current posture. very slowly, what we're going to do is start by removing anything that's under the legs. Moving that off to the side. And then we're going to draw the knees together. Walk the feet in even closer to the buttocks, but take your feet a little wider than hip distance. And you can reach down and grasp the shins and help guide those heels in a little bit closer if that's appropriate. And we're just going to start to feel a grounding in the feet, but a deep bend in the knees and the hips. Upper body is going to stay exactly where it is for this moment. Taking 3 deep breaths here. Keeping your left foot where it is, begin to draw that right knee in, lifting the foot off the floor and just starting to hug it to you a bit more. Your seat may shift a little bit. You might start to feel like you're leaning it a little bit to the side of the bended knee. That's okay. But you want to try to stay grounded as much as you can in that foot that's still on the floor. Now see if you can take that folded thigh in a little closer to the rib and a little bit more to the outside. So we're taking it, so it's almost like we're trying to tuck it to the side of the ribs. Notice if you have any restrictions, if you're feeling anything in the hip flexor or in and around the hip itself. Just breathe into those spaces. And then very slowly, we're gonna release that leg slightly and then bring the ankle up to cross over the left knee. And you can take your right hand down beside you and just kind of press yourself over to the right, or sorry, to the left a little bit. Just to keep you from falling a little bit more over into the right side. Because with that foot lifted, the hip structure changes and it's not quite as square, so we'll lean over into that side a bit more, and we don't want to lean quite so much now. So now if we take the right hand down to the floor and press the floor away a little bit, it takes us back up into being squared through the shoulders, squared through the hips, and it gives us a bit more of that outer hip stretch and that figure 4 posturing. Keep that breath flowing. Considering your intention that you set for our practice today once again. Next exhale, we're going to unwind that right leg, bring it back down to the floor. Again, try to find that heel as close to the buttocks as you can. Plant that foot firmly, and then let's draw the left knee into the chest. Noticing any differences you might feel from one hip to the next. And from here, start to broaden that knee and that thigh out to the left a bit more and drawing it as if it would tuck to the left side of the ribs. Let's now take that ankle and cross it over the right knee. So we come into that seated, reclined figure four stretch. And again, if you need to press the left hand into the floor next to you to keep your weight a little bit more squared, feel free. With this folded and twisted leg, you could be leaning a little bit heavier to the left side, and that would take a kind of a twist in the hips and the shoulders and the spine that we don't really want. So using that left hand to help square you up can be very advantageous. Very slowly start to unwind that leg. Bring both feet back down to the floor and pause here for 3 rounds of breath. From here, we're going to slowly either sit up or roll off the bolster and come on up to seated. You can move the bolster out of the way, and you're going to need your tie. All right. So go ahead and grab your tie and fold it in half. To start with, you may find that you can fold it once again in half once we get into the pose, but start with just a half to begin with. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna extend our right leg, and then we're gonna draw our left leg, and we're gonna draw it so the heel is toward the outside of the hip. And then start to draw the ribs inside the thigh. Then we're gonna take this tie, and again, it depends on how open your shoulders are, what's going on with you this morning, but you're gonna hold on to it at the belted end, and I'm gonna go ahead and quarter mine because I think I'll be able to get to it. I'm gonna swing that around, kind of behind me, and make sure that my arm is in front of my knee. And then I'm gonna reach back with my other hand to find that tie, and then start to walk my hands toward each other. Once my hands are toward each other, I'm gonna sit up nice and tall. Now maybe you can get to your hands, maybe you need the tie, but wherever you're at, the most important thing is trying to keep the rib inside this thigh, keeping this shoulder rolling back so we're not hunching forward, and keeping the chest open and lifted. Your right leg that's extended is active, so keep your foot flexed and keep reaching out through the heel and the ball of the foot. So with this posture, not only are we getting work in and around the hip and the rotation of that thigh, we're also getting work in the shoulder, in the upper back, mid back. The posture here is super important. So allow yourself to breathe into it. Allow yourself to become the posture, not fight against the posture. Give yourself 3 more breaths here. And very slowly releasing the hands and the tie. Bring that around and put it off to the side for a moment. And we're going to take the sole of this left foot and bring it to the inside of the right thigh. We're going to grab the tie again, so that we can place it around the ball of this right foot. And we're gonna start first just by sitting up nice and tall. And at the same time, trying to push this thigh energetically into the mat. think about rotating that upper thigh bone down and back so that you press the thigh closer to the mat. Don't let your breath get stuck, keep it flowing. See if you can get your spine to elongate just a fraction of an inch longer. Three more breaths. And on the completion of the next exhale, slowly release. And let's extend that left leg. Keep your tie, because now we're going to do that wrap around the front of the shin again. And just to the other side. When you're ready, go ahead and draw your right foot up. You're gonna take that heel a little wider than the hip and you're gonna tuck it in as much as you can to the sides of the ribs. Reach the rib forward to the inside of that thigh. Take the belt into that right hand and then sweep it around behind you. Use your left hand to come back and either grasp the other hand or get the belt, whatever is most comfortable for you. Once you've got that, you're going to roll that right shoulder back, sit up nice and tall through the torso, and think about opening your chest forward. Left leg is active. We're pressing out through the heel and the ball of the foot at the same time. Move into the breath. Allow yourself to relax into the activation of the pose as much as possible. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but even while keeping engaged and active, you can still have a level of relaxation in it. sit a little taller. Open your chest a little bit more. Three more deep breaths. And then as you complete that third exhalation, slowly release the hands. And then take the sole of that foot to the inside of the left thigh. We're going to take that tie now, place it around the ball of the left foot. We're drawing ourselves up, sitting up nice and tall. Draw that chest through the upper arms and then press that right leg down into the mat. So we're thinking about rotating that thigh and pressing the outside of it into the mat below us. Can you make yourself a little taller through the spine? Can you ground a little bit more into the sits bones? Can you engage that right leg to open and drop down into the mat a bit more? Three more breaths here. And on the next exhale, slowly release. Let's move that tie out of the way and come over onto hands and knees so that we can take ourselves into a child's pose. With our child's pose, we're gonna have our big toes touching and our knees nice and wide out to the edges of our mat. Drop the hips back and then slowly walk the hands out so that you're nice and long through the side body. The ribs are starting to drop down between the thighs, and then we let the head rest to the floor. Now once the head releases, no need to keep the engagement in the arms. Let the arms and the shoulders relax. next inhale, start to roll the body back up. And then coming up onto hands and knees, we're going to take the feet out wide to the edges of the mat, turn the toes under, and then press yourself back into a squat. Now with this squat, I want you to keep your weight really far forward so that your heels are lifted, but you're getting a nice stretch up the calf. And you're also really tipping your torso through the legs. So we're trying to think about pressing the knees back behind the ribs and then getting that nice deep stretch down the calf muscle. Now take your arms and cactus them with the hands still on the floor and the upper arms coming into the front of the knee, and use those arms to press the knees out even wider. And then we're going to bring ourselves slowly forward again, back onto our knees. Walk the hands back forward. And now we're going to take ourselves into a pigeon pose. So take your right knee behind your right wrist and then swing that shin diagonal. Left toes turn under and we start to walk that left knee back. We're dropping down into the hips as much as we can. If you need some support to that outer right hip, you can take your block, tuck it under, or you can take your blanket and tuck it under. That will give you a little bit of support. Or you can just let it float. And then from here, we're just going to start to make our way down onto our forearms. Crawl your left toes under once again. See if you can draw that left knee back just a little further, getting the groin to settle in a little bit deeper. And then flatten that foot out. From here, if you'd like to rest your head, you can use your block, your blanket, your bolster, crossed arms, whatever feels right for you. And then you can let yourself come all the way down. next inhale, raising yourself back up onto hands. Curl those left toes under and then hop the knee in until it comes right behind that right heel. And then unwind that right leg and extend it back behind you. Give it a little shake, little wiggle, whatever feels good. And then go ahead and release that right knee, right knee down. We're gonna take left knee now up behind the left wrist. Sweep that shin diagonal, toes pointing off on the opposite side. Curl the right toes under and start to walk that right leg back. Again, feel free to support the outside of the hip, blanket, block, whatever feels right. And very slowly come down onto your forearms, pausing there for a breath or two. Curl those right toes under and just walk that knee back a little bit more. Take yourself a little deeper into the posture. And as you're ready, if you'd like to settle the head down, feel free. Next breath, we're going to very slowly start to draw the upper body up. Brace yourself with the hands, curl the right toes under, and let's hop that knee forward. Once it's behind the left heel, extend that left leg back, give it a shake, give it a wiggle, stretch it out, whatever feels good. And then just stabilizing yourself on your hands and knees for a moment. Let's just sweep the hips side to side. Once you get out to the farthest part of the side, just exaggerate it for a moment. Stretch that outer glute, outer hip. And then come back to neutral. And then not a full cat-cow, we're not gonna do the upper body, but I just want you to do sort of a pelvic tuck and tip. Don't worry about the chest and the shoulder area, just do the flexation through the pelvis. And then slowly release. Drop back. We're going to set ourselves up for our final relaxation. We are going to start the same way we began. So we're going to start with that reclined cobbler pose. So this time, I definitely want you to support your legs if you didn't last time. So finding your blankets, finding your blocks. Allow those legs to be supported. As you settle back, once again, just taking a moment, rolling the shoulders down and back, opening across the collarbone. Feel the hips and the thighs settle. Let the head release. Let yourself become heavy. With each breath, relaxing a little bit more. With each exhale, allowing yourself to let go. There's no need to hold anything muscularly. There's no need to hold anything energetically. You just want to be in a state of complete release and relaxation. deeper, bringing your awareness back to your body. Allow your fingers and your toes to start to wiggle. Very slowly start to extend the legs out, and then when you're ready, drawing them in toward the chest. Taking your time, moving nice and slow. Allow yourself to roll over onto the right side of the body. And pausing there, taking 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out from the mouth. Keeping your eyes softly closed, press to a comfortable seated posture. Sitting up nice and tall, keeping your awareness inward for just a few more moments, just contemplating the practice today, the intention that you set, the experience that you had. Honoring the sensations in the body, giving thanks for the breath. We did a lot of inner hip work, pelvic work today, so taking your time, moving through your day with intention, allowing yourself to move slowly to stay grounded. And allow yourself to carry this grounding with you through the next week. Very slowly begin to part the eyelids, bringing a soft, gentle gaze to the floor before you. And then allow that gaze to expand as you open the eyes a little bit wider. Thanks for joining me today, and have a wonderful day.